सहनावतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहैः ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरि ओम वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं. So we are chapter 7 of Bhagavad Gita, and last time we did verse 11, and today we are going to be doing verse 12 of chapter 7. So here Bhagavan is talking about his vibhuti. Vibhuti is, the special way to experience God. Even though God is everything, everywhere, in everyone, everything in the whole cosmos, all pervading. But the question is, how do I connect with God? So Bhagavan was telling the different vibhutis, and we can contemplate upon that and connect with God. And he kept making his vibhuti subtler and subtler. And then the last one, he mentioned that he was of the strong, I'm the strength. But then he quickly added devoid of desire and attachment. Because desire and attachment can also cause somebody to be strong, but that's not the vibhuti of God. And then, so we went in detail all about it. And then he also immediately said that I'm also desire. All the good desire that come, even desire to connect with him, all of that, which is unopposed to dharma, or you can say the one which takes me to dharma. Anything that takes me closer to God, that kind of desire also I am. That's my vibhuti. So, best among the Bharatas. He was mentioning him as the best among the Bharatas. So that's what we did last time. So in this one, let's see what he's going to do, but let's chant and see the word meaning, and then we'll go from there. Ye chaiva satvika bhava rajastamasaschaye matta eveti tan vidhi natvaham teshu te mai. Ye is whatever, cha and, eva is even, satvika pure, bhavaha nature, rajasaha active, tamasaha inert. So these are the three gunas. Cha is add, ye whatever, mattah from me, eva even, iti thus, tan them, vidhi to know, no is not, tu is indeed, aham is I, when he's talking about I, that Brahman, teshu in them, te they, mai in me. So this is the second part of this is a little bit difficult, but once we get the picture, it's not going to be that difficult. And then he will elaborate more later on in Bhagavad Gita. We'll come to that. So now there are two things. One is God is in everything, but then he's also talking about certain aspects, and we know why that to connect with him. So instead of giving this elaboration of these so many vibhutis, so now this is like a concluding almost verse for the vibhuti. That's how we have to look at it, concluding verse for the vibhuti. So he's saying that all that is expressed, and now he's opening up a little bit more about his nature, or the Ashtada Prakriti that he was talking about, para and apara. Remember we did that? Para is, the higher Prakriti. Apara is the lower one. And that is made up of three gunas. And they are, and we have heard, all of us have probably heard these words. And some of you might know what it means, and some of you may not. So I'll try to say a little bit. Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas guna. So he said that all that proceed from me. So what does that mean? That he is the substratum for it. Just like a screen for a movie is a substratum for the movie to project. So whether it's a good movie, bad movie, violent movie, comedy, romance, whatever, everything without that screen you cannot be. That's how you have to look at it, that it all proceeds from me. Because somebody might say, hey, why God is tamasic or what? God tamas also proceed from him only. There is a 3 gunas that the Ashtada Prakriti is made up of, the raw material, you can say, in one angle of looking at it. And then he used the word bhava. Bhava over here means nature. Oh, I did the Sanskrit, yes. So here he's talking about his expression. That's another way to look at the word bhava is. And then, so when he said that the Ashtada Prakriti is made up of these 3 gunas, that means these 3 gunas are in everything in the cosmos. So all the Panch Mahabhut also, the 3 gunas are the Akash, Vayu, Agni, Jal, Prithvi, everything. And we'll see a little bit how. And the mind also has the 3 gunas. So it's called Trigunatmaka mind is called. And then the other stuff also that we studied in Kathopanishad, Ahankara, Vyakta, all these things, they also have 3 gunas. And so as far as this Prithvi is concerned, all the human beings, all the expressions are over here of that Brahman. Human beings, animal, birds, objects, different seasons, you name it. You can divide anything and everything within these 3 gunas. Okay? Sattvic, Rajasic, Tamasic. And then more of this gunas in absolute detail we are going to learn in chapter 14. So we'll have to have a little bit of patience because this verse has kind of an introduction a little bit to the gunas, but he's not going so much in detail. And I don't want to spend too much time, but just if I have to describe in one word, what they are. So the Sattvic guna is purity. Or, all the intelligence and everything that we have comes from that Sattvic guna. And Rajasic means activity. When we are very, very active, then it calls Rajasic. And then Tamas is inert, or Jadatva, they call it in Sanskrit, inertia, you can say, And then we will, when we go to chapter 14, then you will really learn in detail, but you will get the hang of it with a little bit of examples right now and all. So how does it work? It expresses, like sometimes how we feel like lazy or tired and sleepy. And so that is the effect of tamoguna. So these gunas are very subtle. You can't, just looking back at somebody's face, you cannot say, oh, that person is tamoguni or something. No, their behavior will tell you, their expression of it. How do I explain the expression? It's like when you go to a doctor and the doctor says, what symptoms you have? So then you might say, hey, I have a cough, I have this, or I have runny nose and all. Then he will conclude that you have some kind of virus. See what I'm saying? And if you are healthy, then you don't have all these symptoms, then you are a healthy person. The same way these gunas express, and Bhagavan is going to teach us in chapter 14 that what are the expression of which guna. So when you see that in you, you know which one is rising. That's one point. And the other point I wanted to tell you is everybody has the 3 gunas, whether you are a saint or a sinner. It's not like you can get away from it, that as though the saints don't have a tamasic guna. No, they also have it, but they know how to express more sattvic in them. The proportion changes. It's a little bit tough thing to think about how, but that's the truth, that the proportion can change, but you cannot get rid of it completely. Or you can, like we need tamasic guna for us to go to sleep. That has some good value also. Or when we rest and all that, then we have to be, tamoguna has to rise. We won't be able to, if somebody's saying, I want to do this, I want to do that, and never winds down, you won't be able to sleep. See what I'm saying? So it's kind of a complicated thing, but I'm giving some idea. So I was just saying that when we feel lazy, tired, sleepy, so that's the effect of tamoguna, And then when we feel very energetic, वैसा करूँगी, ये idea आ रहा है, वो idea आ रहा है, become very active, that means effect of Rajoguna is coming. When I feel very peaceful, I feel happy, I have a great devotion rising in my heart, for the entire creation, this is Sattva is rising in me, that means. So, and the purity, peace and knowledge is the expression of Sattva Guna. So all these 3 things like that. So, and then, like I was explaining that how the gunas are like in everything in the world, right? So टाइम को भी 24 आवर्स में ऐसे जनरली डिवाइड किया हुआ है. आप सभी ने सुना होगा ये. दिस इज नॉट समथिंग न्यू. यू मस्ट हैव डेफिनेटली हर्ड. मॉर्निंग टाइम इज कंसिडर्ड सात्विक, right? So that's why they say that when it's morning, then you do your puja, you do your aradhana, whatever, all that is more fructifying. Then daytime becomes rajasic. Sun has come out. I want to do this. And सारे काम वाम हम सब दिन में करते हैं. And night time is considered tamasic. So see how time is also divided in all that. Then thoughts. Thoughts can be also sattvic, rajasi, and tamasic. Sometimes, thought of devotion, this, that, knowledge. I want to learn this, I want to learn that. I've absorbed things very nicely. That sattvic is thoughts are there. Rajasic thought we already discussed. I want to do this, I want to do that. And tamasic, I don't want to feel like doing anything. कोई कुछ theory वेरी समझाता है. No, not right now. My mind doesn't work. Like that. So that's what expression is. So emotions can be all three also. Okay. So everything, time, space, lokas, everything, this arises from Bhagwan only. As I said, it's this substratum. So they are the expression of my prakriti. That's what Bhagwan said. And they come from me alone. Everything comes from him only. So what Nikhilanandji was saying, that when we sit in meditation, so whatever thoughts are coming, the source is Bhagwan only, okay? So that's why you must have heard that a lot of people, when they are doing some meditation class and all, they will say, you can't really get rid of the thoughts in the beginning, but they just arise. I'm just sitting peacefully and something pops up in my head, How can you stop that at the beginning? This is a very miraculous thing in some ways, Where are they coming from? They're coming from Brahman. The source is Brahman, but you don't have to give too much importance to it, what kind of thought it is. When you don't, that's when they start subsiding. You must have heard of that, that's how you deal with in the beginning. That's one relationship over here. But Nikhilanandji said also very interesting. He said that even in the pravachan, you can have all three type of thoughts. Or say in this class, so when people are understanding all the concept and enjoying and peaceful, then you are in sattvic thoughts are coming and you are in sattvic mode. And if you're restless, कब class खत्म होगी, मेरे को नींद आ रही है, ये ना नींद नहीं, अभी नींद तो तामसिक रहेगा. यहाँ वहाँ देखा, कितना बज गया, मुझे ये करना है, मुझे वो करना है. You start thinking of something else, and rajasic is happening. And when you are like totally dull, your eyes are about to close, nothing is going into your head, then your tamas is coming. Maybe you need a cup of tea then to make you rajasic, I don't know. So then the other thing, he kind of joked, he's saying actually tamasic and sattvic kind of, you can get fooled because they may look the same. The person may be, like closing his eyes and sitting there, and somebody says, hey, are you sleeping? And he said, no, I'm meditating. Only he knows what he's doing. But he was just saying that how tamasic and tamasic and sattvic can look alike, but inside it may not be, totally opposite. Because they are like opposite of each other. Think about it. So, and then there is one thing that I don't know if I'll just say it. I'm not sure if it's everybody will understand, because it's a little bit difficult thing to get it, but I'm going to say it anyway. So it seems that when all three gunas are in completely exact proportion, that's when that in that equilibrium the whole world goes into dissolution. When it is completely balanced, संसार उठता नहीं है. जब भी उसमें गड़बड़ होती है ना, ऊपर नीचे जाता, तभी it comes out. Okay, so this is what it is. It may be a poor comparison, but like still maybe you will get the picture. They say that we have this for Ayurveda, na? That three, what do they call it? Doshas. So those three doshas, I think Anil ji probably knows this. When they are in complete balance, which doesn't happen in somebody, right? That's why, so if it's in complete balance, you are in like perfect health. But that doesn't happen. Kabhi vayu upar ho jati hai, kabhi prithvi tattva, kabhi agni, right? All those things happen. So this kind of gadbad is the one that keeps the sansar kind of going. Different things happen. So when we were talking about that, how these proportion changes of these three gunas. So say, just a rough example, suppose somebody has sattva guna rising in them, and sattva guna become 90%. So the other two will be 10%, something like that. So one way of explaining is that when one guna is more in me, the other one don't disappear, they just take a back seat. वो जाके छुप जाते हैं, kind of, they are not expressing at that time. That's how we have to look at it. They are not completely gone, they are not expressing. So basically क्या होता है, जब अगर तमोगुना राइज हो गया तो सत्व और रजस पीछे चला जाता है, so they kind of exist together. And then you can see the expression that when I'm very, very sleepy, two things will happen. My activity will become down. I'm not going to do any activity. Rajas kam ho gaya, right? Automatically. And then meri understanding bhi khatam ho gayi, because I'm like, my mind became dull. So when tamoguna rises, the other two become dull. And then when somebody becomes very rajasic, so uska tamogun to chala jayega. True. But सत्वगुण भी कम हो जाएगा, बिकॉज उसकी थोड़ी अंडरस्टैंडिंग भी कम हो जाएगी. पर्सन हु इज लाइक, ओ मुझे ये करना है, वो करना है, वो करना है, उसको पर बैठ के बोलो कि ओ गीता का श्लोक डिस्कस करते हैं, उसे नो ही वोंट बी एबल टू गेट इट, बिकॉज ही इज सो राजसिक एट दैट टाइम. So that's how you have to see that how it changes. So basically what it is that even though they're opposed to each other, they stay together. And they keep on expressing in different proportion depending on many different factors. And they all come from Brahman, because Brahman is the substratum. So what he was trying to say is, if you go to the source of the gunas, then you can reach God that way too also. Find out where it's arising from. Even the thoughts ka bhi yahi hai. Hey, go to the source of thought rather than seeing, hey, what kind of thought. That source of thought, that kind of thinking will be more useful for you to connect with the higher. That's what basically it is. So that's exactly why they say that instead of paying attention to the type of thought, focus on where it's coming from. Because sometimes what happens is when people are sitting in meditation, he's saying, वही time पे मेरे को सब याद क्यों आ रहा है, right? How to deal with that situation. So don't even worry about कि क्या याद आ रहा है. Say, hey, ये thought का source का, without that God, ये thought भी नहीं आएगा. So then you shift your attention to the source. That's what it is. Okay? And so here Bhagwan is clearly saying that, the origin is me. Because Nikhilanand ji was saying that we get so entangled in the thoughts that we forget the source. That's what it is. And I think, Anil ji, you had asked that question also, that, hey, why some people, this is one of the reasons. You just forget about the source, and it's like when we are watching the movie, nobody's thinking about the screen, because you're so entangled in the movie. Something like that, okay? So in conclusion, Bhagwan is the source of all sattvic, rajasic, tamasic expression in the cosmos. And then, so this was the first part of the shloka. Second part is very, very important statement. Very contradictory, but very powerful statement. So what does he say? Know them to proceed from me, yet I am not in them, they are in me. That's the statement he made. So what he's saying, or you can say in other words, I don't exist in them, they exist in me. अरे ऐसा कैसे हो सकता है कि Bhagwan is saying I don't exist in them, but Krishna Bhagwan बोल रहे हैं तो कुछ तो meaning होएगा उसका, right? So this is a subtler language. Contemplation is required, understanding is required. So he's saying that I am not in them, they are in me. So why he's saying that, and this is very important for the sadhana, because what Bhagwan is talking about is, first he talked about his nature and his vibhuti, and then he says everything is coming from me, rajasic, tamasic. So we understood that. So what does it mean then over here? In one simple sentence, this is what it means, and we will open it up more. It means, Bhagwan is saying, I don't depend on the world, but the world depends on me. That's what it means. And so how can that be possible? Just think about it yourself, okay? In us, thoughts are coming. Thoughts depend on me. I don't depend on the thoughts. When thoughts go away, I'm still there. See what I'm saying? Applies the same thing to Bhagwan. Bhagwan is saying that my existence does not depend on the world. Does not depend on the world, but the existence of the world depends on me. That's what he's trying to say. So another way of looking at it is that the Bhagwan's real nature is independent of the world. Whether the world is there or not, he's still there in his real nature. And then the most beautiful example to understand this is the dream that we get. That dream comes in us when we are sleeping from our mind. So he's saying that, Nikhilanandji was saying, the dream exists because of you or your mind. You don't exist because of the dream. Correct? That's what it is. So he's saying when you wake up, the dream is gone, but you're still there. So the same way the world dissolves, Bhagwan is still there. Nothing is going to affect him. And the other, how can you justify this statement? The only way you can justify this statement is go back to the most powerful example they give in Vedanta, what snake and the rope. And it'll become clear. So, that same example. The rope is lying in the dark and we go and look at it. I don't know if it is a rope. So I say, oh my God, snake. And then the snake suddenly becomes alive for me and I give it a name. I give it, he's a poisonous hai, to main to mar jaungi, jo bhi, all the fear and everything. So now think about it, this statement in this. The snake, the Bhagwan is saying, I'm not in them. Is the rope in the snake? Rope ko to dikhai nahi de rahi hai usko. It's rope is not in the snake, but the snake is there because of the rope. Everybody got this or not? अगर वो रोप नहीं होती तो स्नेक भी नहीं दिखता, कुछ भी नहीं दिखता हमको. तो the fact that हम लोग को snake दिख रहा है because of the rope. So that's why Bhagwan is saying, it's something like the rope is saying, hey, I have nothing to do with this snake. That's your imagination of your mind. I have nothing to do with it. Okay? Same way Bhagwan is saying, I have nothing to do with this world because I'm separate from it. That's what it is. Okay? It's a very contemplative thing. Nikhilanandji was saying that this is very important for the meditation. That when the thoughts come into our mind, then we have to remind ourselves that the thought exists in you. You are not in the thoughts. You are much bigger than the thought. That's what it means. So then how do we apply this to ourself and the Bhagwan and the world? So he explained it so nicely. See if you can get it. So he's saying in the beginning, what do we say? Oh, God exists in this world, right? That's what Krishna Bhagwan also was telling Arjun. Say, मैं हूँ इस दुनिया में, So he's saying that, but the real higher understanding, according to this verse, is that the world exists in God. God is not existing in the world, but the world is existing in the God. Why we have to change our thinking? Because when हम लोग जब भगवान को दुनिया में ढूंढेंगे ना, so we are giving importance to the world. It sounds like as though the world is bigger than God. That's why I'm looking for it. But, because what do we say usually? That कि दुनिया में भगवान हर जगह हैं, सभी में हैं and all that. But now we have to say that the whole dunya is in Bhagwan. That's the kind of shifting we have to do in our mind. So he's saying that Bhagwan क्या कह रहे हैं कि I am there and then the world exists in me. पहले मैं हूँ, उसके बाद दुनिया आई है, okay? So हम उल्टा करते हैं, हम पहले दुनिया को देखते हैं फिर भगवान को ढूंढते हैं. He's saying no. So in chapter 11 actually, when जब उन्होंने विश्व रूप दर्शन दिया ना, so he told at the end of that chapter to Arjuna that in my little portion of me, the entire world exists. So what we are seeing is just like a minuscule part of God. God is much, much bigger than that. So again, Nikhilanandji gave the dream ka example. जैसे जब एक ड्रीम हम देखते हैं तो वो कहाँ से आया, एक कोई हमारे मन से आया, राइट, या माइंड से, राइट. पूरे माइंड से तो नहीं आया, बिकॉज माई माइंड इज सो वास्ट, आई हैव सो मेनी थिंग्स इन माई माइंड. उसके एक कोने में कोई थोड़ा सा डिस्टर्बेंस हुआ तो ड्रीम आ गया. So same way, this whole cosmos is just a little disturbance in some God. Actually, our Gurudev Chinmayanand ji gave a very great analogy, saying Krishna Bhagwan is standing, and he has this his angavastra, they call it, like that दुपट्टा that he has on him. इसमें उसके कोने में जरा सा वो फड़फड़ा रहा है हवा से, तो वो जगत आ गया. इतना है. बाकी the entire Krishna Bhagwan is there, so like that. Then you look at the example of the ocean. I mean, today Pacific Ocean has lots of waves, churning of the ocean going on with the wind over here. I can see it. So in the ocean, the waves are only on the surface. Deep ocean, I don't know how many miles. Nobody has gone to the absolute depth. They are not able to go yet, even with today's technology. Its ocean is so vast. So these waves are just a little bit of disturbance because of the wind. This waves is not ocean. Ocean has a bigger astitva. So all that fits over here, what he's saying. So coming back to the dream example, that my mind is very vast, but a little bit of disturbance is causing this dream. And the truth is, my mind is capable of kind of infinite dreams. हमको तो याद भी नहीं है जो बचपन से हमने ड्रीम किया है. 95% of it may have forgotten everything. It just came and comes and goes. My mind is capable of doing that. Now put this example in God's thing, that God also has a power to do infinite cosmoses, one after the other. And some people even believe multiverses and God knows. So this thought has a big scope, to see. That's why God is called infinite, that we can't even fathom it, that how much capacity it has. So then come back to this statement and say it exists in me and I don't exist in the world. The same way, the dream exists in me, but my existence is not because of the dream. Okay, so this is what we have to keep in mind. So coming back to again the example of how do I handle this in the world. So he's saying that when we look at God in the world, understand that you and the world both are in God. See what I'm saying? So together you can almost say like I'm sitting in God's lap. That's what it is, that I am in God. That's what it is. So it's a paradigm shift, changing of the attitude, basically. And one more example he gave, which was just to kind of drive the point home. He's saying that because he was giving pravachan, this I'm talking about Nikhilanandji, must be in a hall, he was giving a pravachan when he was doing this Geeta class. So he said that we are sitting in the hall, and hall is the big one. I'm just sitting in there. Same way, God is very big and I'm just a small part of it within him. That's how, difference. So in nutshell, Bhagwan talked about his vibhuti and he told Arjuna to experience me. I am there everywhere, experience my divinity, all that we did over here. And then first you look at me everywhere, and then later on you understand that everything is in me. So this is how you have to shift your thinking. And he basically is telling Arjuna, you yourself are in me only. And in fact, you and me at that tattva level are the same. And then he gave one more example, which was a very nice one. It's like the wave searching for the ocean. Where is the ocean? Where is the ocean? And finally come to know, oh, I am in the ocean only. And the other waves are in the ocean only, something like that. I thought that was a good example. So now, Anilji, your question was that how other people don't see it. That's exactly what Arjuna's mind, this question may have come. So if Bhagwan is everywhere and you can experience me everywhere, and it's such a simple thing, and Bhagwan is present everywhere, then what prevents people from experiencing God? That is going to be answered in the next two verses, that what actually happens, that why people don't experience God and his presence, what is the problem and all. He's going to address it. So that is going to be coming. So this is what this verse is about. Any comment, question, discussion?
I just want to make a comment about that rope and snake. When we see snake in a rope, then everybody who sees the snake, their description of the snake is different.
Correct. Very good point.
But when they realize it is the rope, then their description of the rope is the same.
Correct. Very excellent. Absolutely. That's why the world is what my mind sees the world, according to my vasanas and all. कि ना एक आदमी किसी को बहुत अच्छा लगता है और दूसरा बोलता है ये तो एक सबसे नालायक आदमी है, राइट? आदमी सेम ही है, but it depends on me, how I see the world, or someone city somebody loves and another will say this is the worst city. So true, but when it comes to truth, everybody has the same experience. So excellent point. Yeah. Any other? So it's a difficult concept, but if you understood this now, the same two shlokas are coming in chapter 9. That Bhagavan will say, I exist, they exist in me, but I don't exist in them. And then, I think, and I'll say, why? Bhagavan is just separating me from him. How can it be? No. It wants you to think that our things don't affect him. That's basically, whatever we do, he stays as pure, as eternal, as infinite as before. That's what it is. Any volunteers to read? Somebody who didn't read before, maybe want to come forward today? I guess not yet. So I'll go back to my same old people who read. Meera ji can read.
Thank you. Whatever beings and objects that are pure, active, and inert know that to rise from me, yet I am not in them, they are in me. In this stanza, the Lord concludes the topic of his discussion, which he undertook while commenting upon his own statement. All this is strung in me as a row of pearls on a thread.
So we saw this, right? That in the beginning when sorry, I was going to just say that because the paragraph was there, that we saw that was the first statement he made, that all that is strung in me as a row of pearls on thread. So this is just an elaboration of that too, how it is. We already saw, but go ahead, Hiraji.
The term Maya, as used in the literature of Vedanta, is nothing other than the different impulses under which the mind and intellect of the living kingdom comes to act. The infinite variety of thoughts and ideas that rise in the hearts of the living kingdom have been observed and classified under the three... Okay, no worries. The infinite variety of thoughts and ideas that rise in the hearts of the living kingdom have been observed and classified under the three main moods, governed by which alone do the instruments of feeling, thinking, and action come to play their parts everywhere. These three characteristics, the eternal moods of the subtle body, are called unactivity, sattva, activity, rajas, and inactivity, tamas.
So here, Chinmayananji explained it from another angle, that you can call it these three things as three different moods of your mind also. Okay. And then when we talk about, माया की वजह से हम दूर हो जाते हैं भगवान से, ऐसे बोलते हैं ना लोग. माया, what is maya? It is that is maya is the apara prakriti or the ashtada prakriti, and it's made up of these three gunas. That's what it is. So you can look at it many different ways. Yeah.
With this knowledge of the three gunas, as they are called, when we try to understand the stanza, it becomes easy to understand. Whatever states pertain to these three temperaments of the heart and the head are possible, they all rise from the self. This is a statement which is only a reinterpretation in philosophical terminology of what has already been explained. The infinite consciousness is the supreme reality, the spirit upon which the matter constituting its lower nature is but an apparent experience. They all rise from the truth, inasmuch as all the waves rise from the ocean, all mud pots rise from the mud, all ornaments made of gold come from gold.
So we know this. These three examples are the very powerful example that, waves all arise from the ocean, mud pots all come from the mud, ornaments, all gold ornaments, that is, come from gold. The same way everything's come from this self only, but it says apparent experience. You see that? So apparent experiences, that's why it's called mithya. And mithya doesn't mean that it didn't happen. All it means is that it comes and goes. So we cannot say, oh, dunya hai nahi and things like that. That's not true. We experience it. It's there and all that, but it's not permanent. What permanent is the other thing. Okay? So that's all.
This verse concludes with a beautiful statement which reads like a conundrum. The self-contradiction in such an arresting statement is an art deliberately cultivated by Hindu philosophical writers. It has the charm that invites an independent intellectual investigation by the student all for himself upon the declaration, in order that he may come to the sweet secret of its true import and significance. Still, I am not in them, they are in me.
So Swamiji is just saying, because first time when you read this, you will say, hey, why is Bhagwan saying that? He's saying something which is impossible or something. If I'm in you, you have to be in me. But he's saying, no, it's not true. Because he wants you to think. Because this, and he's going to explain, in the next paragraph that why it is so. Now go ahead.
Such a statement would necessarily be false in any situation, because if A is not B, the latter cannot be in the former. So also, if I am not in them, they cannot be in me. This sweet paradoxical statement clearly indicates that the relationship between spirit and matter is not in terms of cause and its effect, but it is only as a superimposition of matter upon the spirit. To the deluded, the post can only explain, the ghost of your vision had risen from me alone, inasmuch as I alone lent to it its existence. But I, the post, am not in the ghost. So too shall the ocean cry, the waves rise, stay, and dissolve in me, but I am not in the waves.
So ये post और ghost का ना same snake और rope का है कि they gave more like a western example that एक light post रात को अंधेरे में मुझे ghost की तरह दिखता है. if थोड़ा अंधेरा हो, so that's what he's saying. So जो ghost दिख रहा है, so the post is saying, hey, I'm not in the ghost. But the truth also is that वो ghost इसलिए दिखाई दिया कि post था वहाँ पे. अगर post होता ही नहीं तो ghost दिखता ही नहीं. So that's why, that's the relationship. So it's saying it's not the direct cause and effect relationship. They call it superimposition relationship. That, actually भगवान ही सब कुछ है, लेकिन मुझे दुनिया दिखाई दे रही है. That's what it means. Or like I'm looking at the ornament and I'm just saying, oh, this is my earring and all, but actually it is gold. I'm looking at it as an earring because of its shape. That's what it means.
So then God is in दुनिया में है, लेकिन दुनिया God में नहीं है, or it's the other way around.
नहीं, दुनिया God की वजह से है. How about that statement? कि दुनिया गॉड की वजह से है. और जस्ट इमेजिन कि जो रोप है ना, वो जितनी रोप है उतनी दुनिया दिखाई देगी. अगर रोप का खत्म हो गया तो दुनिया भी खत्म हो गई. Do you see what I'm saying? So लेकिन ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि वो जो रोप है, रोप का तो निचला हिस्सा भी होता है, लेकिन हम लोग को वो नहीं दिखाई दे रहा, ऊपर ऊपर से दिख रहा है खाली. We are not seeing complete rope. So what Bhagwan is saying, these examples are not perfect examples, but it's just to drive a point. That the whole world is because of God, but God existent is not because of the world. He's independently existing. If we can get that much, we got the picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, here.
Can we imagine it's a bigger pot, is a God, and a smaller pot is a word in it?
If you want to, but the good example is that mud and mud pots. The existence of mud is everywhere in the end. But pots to hum log thode ka hi banate hain na. But see what I'm saying? And gold. How much gold is there in the world? Everything is not in these ornament shape. Sometimes you have a break, and so there may be millions of thing of, not pounds, I don't know how much, maybe still buried in the earth. That's also gold. See what I'm saying?
Yes.
So the gold ka astitva is existence of gold is very big. But what you see as ornament is just a little bit here and there. So that's how you see it. That, hey, God's existence is really big, but what cosmos that you see, it's a small part of him. Go back to the dream. Dream example is the best one. When we are watching the dream, it looks so real. But the truth is, वो मेरे दिमाग के एक छोटे से कोने से निकला है. Because my mind is very vast. I got so much stuff in my mind. So much information, so much this, so much that. Mind is vast. And you already know, science also says we only use, 5-10% of our brain. Or even 2%. I don't know what the percentage is. And so mind is so vast. But what you see is very little. Same way, the world, it may seem very big, but the reality is there's a bigger reality behind it. Does that make sense, Shireen?
Yeah, now it is more.
Dream exists because of mind, but you exist without dream.
Correct.
Right?
Yes, that's exactly. Your mind exists without the dream. When we wake up, dream is gone, but you are still there, no?
Yeah.
Right.
So same way the world can dissolve. That's why they say कि बोलते हैं ना कि भगवान पहले भी थे, अब भी है, बाद में भी रहेंगे, है ना? ऐसे ही बोलते हैं ना. और जैसे महाकाल, okay, Shiva is a representation of the same consciousness. Mahakal means before even the time started, he was there. Beyond time and all that. So many different words are used for him, right? So all that fits now with this statement. Yeah.
As Shankaracharya would have it, the self declares here that even though matter depends entirely for its existence upon the conscious principle, yet the divine spark is in no way under the thraldom of matter. Matter ekes out its existence from the spirit, but the spirit is in no way and at no time, even by a fraction, controlled, contaminated, or shackled by the said lot of the finite, imperfect matter.
So he summarized it now, that whatever our problems, imperfections and all that, the Atma doesn't get contaminated. And we have in the world also, the examples are there. Like we talked about space. Can we contaminate space? Think about it. We cannot. Yeah, थोड़ी हवा temporarily खराब हो सकती है. You know, but even all the 5 elements also have a divinity and purity in them. Even water, H2O. Somebody says, oh, gutter ka pani ban gaya. You give it gutter ka pani to a scientist, he knows how to take out the H2O from it and make it all clean. So the way Swamiji was explaining that the Ganga starts from the Gangotri over there, Gomukh se ekdam pure hai. Then it comes down and keeps getting contaminated. So that all that contamination is kind of suspended separately with H2O. There is a method to remove that, right? Same way, all the negativity in our mind, Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Mat, Matsarya, these are actually not sticking to our Atma. This, by the way, they have come in us with dealing with the world and they're not being careful and all that. And it can be gotten rid of also to come to that pure. So a lot of different things are kind of woven in this verse, lot of different.
Modi, can we also say that these things are changeable? Like the Ganga water in its pure form is the same, but it changes from whatever area it is going through.
Yes, absolutely. And that's exactly why, now compare this Ganga journey to a jiva. Suppose that somebody is doing some horrible acts and all that right now. So उसकी आत्मा तो फिर भी प्योर है, बट उसके पिछले जन्मों में पता नहीं कहाँ से गुजरा है वो. क्या किया उसने. तो he's become like this. See what I'm saying? And now when the realization comes, he can reverse it too. Right. So that all that fits over here. Absolutely. So then everybody has that purity in them because we all have that God, Tattva, go back to the Kathopanishad, in the cave of our heart, that pure Atma is there. And then the 5 sheets make it kind of cover it up. And then the cover, just एक वस्त्र मैला हो गया. वो एक कोई भजन है ना, हो गई मैली चुनरिया or something, कहते मीरा जी. हाँ, लागा चुनरी में दाग. तो पहले हम लोग ऐसे ही सुनते थे, उससे कितना डेप्थ है उस भजन में. Because he's saying that, look, कोरी चुनरिया आत्मा मोरी. मैल है माया जाल. That's
वो दुनिया मेरे बाबुल
का घर या ससुराल. अब बाबुल के घर जाऊं कैसे अपनी ये मैली चादर लेके. That's what it is. That's exactly what over here, that hey, actually I came as a pure Atma, but over so many janmas, I've accumulated so much dirt, in my mind. So now time to reverse it, kind of thing. Yeah. There is a connecting one small paragraph. You want to say that?
I don't have.
Okay.
It is the beginning of
the other one. So let's leave it. Yeah, it's basically it is, Krishna Bhagwan is saying that मैं इतना सरल हूँ जानने के लिए, तो भी लोग नहीं जानते क्यों. So he's going to give a reason why it happens. So for us, we should know how to go. That's why he says that in chapter 14, he's going to tell Arjuna that first he's going to talk about all the gunas and he's going to become gunatit. Means go beyond the gunas. Even sattva guna you got to drop in the end. Sattva guna also binds you. You get bound by the happiness you get and all that, So all that will come. We don't want to get into too much because we are still inching away to that. But this is what it is. Any question, comment? Yes.
Namaste.
Oh, Prabhakar ji. Yes, namaste.
I just want you to briefly tell at least me that, comparing what he said in 12, Krishna Bhagavan, I am not in them, they are in me. And at the same time in previous shlokas, he says that all this is strung in me as a row of pearls on a thread. How does one interpret these two shlokas. One he is saying is like a thread going through all the pearls. I interpreted the pearls as all beings. Am I right?
Yes, so there are several different ways of looking at it. What is the role of the thread? Role of the thread is that because of the thread एक माला बन सकती है, नहीं तो वो सारे मोती बिखरे हुए रहेंगे, राइट? सो ये जो कॉस्मोस में एक हार्मनी है, अपने को वैसे लगता है कि कॉस्मोस इज वेरी chaotic, but that's not true. There is a tremendous harmony. And in fact, on the earth also, like I'll just give you this one way of thinking. People will say, save the earth, right? ऐसे हम लोग बोलते हैं. Which we have to do that because, otherwise it comes back and slaps us only. किसी philosopher ने क्या बोला मालूम? Go save yourself. Because earth knows how to save itself. If you abuse the earth तुम्हारा नामो निशान मिटा देगी. और फिर से शुरू होगा. नेचर नोज हाउ टू कम बैक इनटू बैलेंस. ओके, तुम्हारा अस्तित्व खत्म हो जाएगा. तुम अपने आप को बचा लो तो बहुत अच्छी बात है. So the reason that we don't have this arrogance, you are saving the earth, you save yourself. So the same way, it's like go back to it that without God, हमारा कोई अस्तित्व ही नहीं है. Like somebody saying that, I want the mala, but I don't want the thread. You're not going to have a mala. So don't see what I'm saying? So,
Yes.
so from that perspective, you see that, and then the other way you can look at it, somebody says, I love my ornament, but I don't like gold. Please take the gold out of the ornament. So then some wise man will say, hey, Buddhu, if you, don't want them gold, you're not going to have ornament too. Ghar ja wapis. You have nothing. That's what it kind of means that it's essential for us. हमारा अस्तित्व ही उसकी वजह से.
But Uma ji, tell me that can we also interpret that because the example of thread that the Bhagavan is in all beings?
Yes.
Is
Yes.
inside the all beings?
Yes, absolutely. That you can look at it that way. That's why it said, same way like waves and ocean or gold and ornament. Gold is in and through the ornaments. Right? Same way God is in and through us in a very subtle form. It's not like even in Kathopanishad when they said that Angushta Matra, as though, just saying imagine it Atma like that, but in reality that's not true. It's just giving you a little आलम्बन को क्या बोलते हैं इंग्लिश में, support for meditation. But it's not telling you that God is very little. No, God is all pervading and very, very large. Brahman means the big.
Yes.
So like
Yes.
that, we have to, without God, nothing is there. But because it's so subtle, हमको connect करने में problem होता है. How do I see a subtle thing?
The point is that in this sloka, he says that I am not in you.
But you are in me, yes. The reason is...
You see how when you connect the previous sloka interpretation and this sloka interpretation, very superficially I'm talking about. But what you said makes sense, but I want you to a little bit more on how do we reconcile these two.
So this is how, in the examples in the Vedanta, they don't want you to hold on to the example. That's one mistake that we make. Because हमारे जो class होता था ना Houston में, I remember some people will start arguing about the example. Examples are not perfect because Bhagwan ने पहले ही बोल दिया कि it's going to come in Kathopanishad. I mean, it already came, in Mandukya, and then others also, that there is no example you can give for Brahman because it's unique.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
So examples are always going to have some shortage. So when it gave the example of thread and the moti or the mala, you take one point from there and now you go more subtle. That's what he's trying to do. Krishna Bhagavan is taking you to a subtler level. What is a subtler level? That God does not depend on the world, but the world depends on God. That's the subtler point he's trying to make in this one. When he said, I am not in them, they are in me. They cannot be without me, but can be very happy without them. I don't need the world, Like, this may be poor example, but somebody was saying that actually we humans need the animals. अगर humans सारे खत्म हो गए ना, animals will be very happy. There'll be very good balance in the but अगर animals खत्म हो गए ना तो हमारा भी अस्तित्व खत्म हो जाएगा. So that's what it is, that God is just trying to remind you that he is the substratum for everything. That's one way of looking at it. Don't forget him, because without him you're nothing.
Thank you.
From that example of mala, we can also say that the motis or the gems are on the thread. Thread is not on the motis, because they can change their shape and quantity and come out looking different, but thread always remains the same.
Yes, that's a good way of putting it too. And then moti can be different also, right? कोई बड़ा है, कोई छोटा है, और different चीजों की माला बनती है, but धागा तो same ही है. True.
And you can take them out and put them back again in a different format.
Very good point. Yes. So then you can keep changing.
Right.
The same thread can be used to make different malas. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, so you can...
You never make a mala without the thread.
You cannot. Yeah, you cannot make... Absolutely. Yeah. And that's why when he said that I am that essential dharma of everything, because if he is the essential dharma, think about it. Without our own dharma, we cannot be that essential nature of being. Without consciousness, we cannot be. Or if you take it a worldly example, a sugar cannot be sugar called sugar until it's sweet. And that sweetness is God. So it is the essential dharma of everything. So all this, we put it together then. See, the shlokas and all that, they don't have, each shloka doesn't have an independent existence either. You have to connect it with the rest of them for it to give more deeper meaning, I know this is a first time when this subject is introduced. It really messes with your mind. But the more you think about it, and a little makes sense. Because I know that how I remember my own journey. Like, how can then you? Oh, okay, now I get it. Thoda, and then it becomes clear. Anything else we need to discuss about this? Okay, then I'll close Bhagavad Gita. सर्वधर्मान् परित्यज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज अहं त्वा सर्वपापेभ्यः मोक्षयिष्यामि मा शुचः हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरि